Are you a hardworking dad, juggling family responsibilities while dreaming of building wealth through real estate? Welcome to the Invested Fathers Podcast, where we explore how to balance investing and fatherhood. I'm your host, Kenny Johnson, founder of East West Capital. Over the past 5 years, I've been buying real estate to free up my time and secure my family's future. Now I'm here to help you do the same. Join me as we navigate the real estate world together, building wealth and strengthening our families. As my grandma always said, East West, home's best. Something crazy happened today that has never happened to me before in my neighborhood. I'm going to be sharing that story here in just a minute, but let me give you guys a high-level overview of what you can expect on today's Invested Fathers episode. This will be a solo episode with me, Kenny Johnson. For those that haven't heard a new episode in a while, I do Friday episodes with just me. And today's episode is going to be our preview into the next week with some guest episodes. So I'm going to highlight some of the people that are going to be on the show. We're also going to be talking about The Intentional Father. It's a book that I have really enjoyed and encourage you guys to join me in reading this. I'm on chapter 8, and this book can be found on Hoopla, free, if you have a library card. If you're trying to take the next step in being a dad, I'm going to be talking about that book again today. And then thirdly, what does life look like for me? What we're working on in the neighborhood, what we're doing at home, and what we're doing in the real estate world. So let's just dive right in. Real estate wise, I have a house under contract and we are in the final stage of inspection to get these little repairs taken care of so that we can sell that. This is a house I've held for 2 years. I thought it was going to be a great long-term rental. It was a tri-level, put about $60K into the rehab. And unfortunately, I was about $25,000 shy of what I thought it would appraise for on the refinance. And this house also had an eviction that happened on pretty much out of the gates. And then there was a water issue that I spent about $11,000 on repairing some water intrusion. So all I have to say is this has been a pretty rough investment in regards to short-term returns. And decided a few months ago, this was just going to be a house that would be so much better to sell. So we are at the finished stretch of that, and I'm excited about selling this and reaping about a 30% return when all is said and done. And it would put probably about around $40,000-ish back in my pocket in profits. But there's been money locked away in it, so some of that will also be coming back in the form of a check. So that is one deal I've been doing. Another deal I've been doing is I've been trying to build some duplexes. And this has required DOT. This has required a lot of permits. It has not been easy. So for anyone that has done development or new builds, especially if it involves like traffic and cutting a sewage pipe through a street, it's a little bit of a nightmare and things are just going really slow. We're getting that. We're making progress on it, but it feels like at grandma pace. And then we've been fixing up a house nearby as well. Another huge fixer-upper, $120,000 rehab budget on this one. And as we've gotten things done and permitted and inspected, we've just run into issues with windows being not the right size and the HVAC units needing extra clearance in the attic. Hurricane Helene took out 3 monstrous trees and the driveway is somewhat precarious because there's a giant root mass next to the driveway. The single family home realm has been a challenge. So I'll definitely be sharing some highlights on the syndication updates. I am a capital raiser for the Oak IQ team along with a few other teams, but Oak IQ has been just amazing. Everything about the market in the Kansas City market, the strategy of building Class A luxury multifamily units with the right team has all just been so good. That's part of my story is I got burned out in buying these fixer-upper properties and decided that the active investor role and wearing all the hats has just not been the goal to really freedom of time and be with my family more. So I say all these things to you guys to let you know, hey, I'm in the trenches. I'm understanding sort of the pains and the gains of being an active real estate investor. and hope that my insights in what I'm doing instill a security and also enlightenment of, hey, if I were to invest with someone like Kenny who's doing this stuff, I'm seeing his track record, I'm seeing what he's getting done, and at least can start conversations with you guys all to dive deeper into my mindset and strategies behind what I'm doing as an active investor, but also what I can recognize and affirm as I join these other all-star teams who are doing larger group investing developments. So something happened today. I got a phone call from a neighbor today that I've never experienced something like this ever since I've lived here. A neighbor called and said, "Hey, Kenny, I have fallen and I need some help." Now, my neighbor sounded okay. It wasn't like she was, I guess, out of breath. And I figured if she was seriously hurt, she would have called 911. So I run over there and there's my neighbor lying on the ground on the front steps of her house. She had carried some heavy groceries going up the steps and had fallen. And thankfully she had her phone on her, but she was just lying there on the ground. And through the experience of getting her back up, I was very thankful that the relationship that has been developed with this neighbor allowed her to feel comfortable and safe in giving me a call to help her. We trick-or-treated tonight, and we had about 5 families all go around the neighborhood. And when we moved into this neighborhood, there was like no one trick-or-treating. And then even during tonight, I met probably 3 or 4 different neighbors. One family in particular had just moved in a few months ago, and they have a 2-year-old daughter, and they've been looking for families to meet and get to know. So this is election season. This is election week. And if you're like me, there's been a few different thoughts on what can someone like me do to make an impact in our nation. And I would say the older Kenny would say, you know what, don't even worry about it. There's really nothing you can do. Just stay out of it. It's all negative talk and a little bit of a head in the sand mentality. And the newer Kenny mentality has been, you know what, I don't live in Washington, and I'm not a senator or congressman, political science guy who's going to always be debating others. I am a member of my community and a member of my neighborhood, and I'm going to be a strong advocate for the family unit and loving the neighborhood kids and being kind and being non-judgmental and being welcoming and all the things that I feel like Christians can and should be doing in their neighborhoods to infiltrate the world. And I think what's even cooler is when you have another Christian family that you guys can lean on and bounce responsibilities and help meet the families and play with the kids and all that good stuff. That's been a really joyful experience over the last few days, just being able to be connected in the neighborhood. Probably one of the easiest ways to get to know people is to just have your kids with you. And kids make it so easy to meet people. They're not, I mean, I have a 3-year-old. She is constantly saying hi to everybody. But you know what? I'm okay with that. And kids look up to their parents to see how we're acting. I was recently shared a video about how the emotional needs of a young boy, their security and their sort of anchors change. So when they're 0 to 6 years old, they are clinging to the mom for that sort of emotional blanket, security, comfort. From 6 to 14, it shifts to dad. They want to know what dad's doing. And then from 14 to 21 and beyond, they're like peers and mentors and coaches. So if you're looking at your kids and figuring out, okay, what are their ages? You have this span of time that's very important for you to set that tone of emotional security and leading by example. I'm all about leading by example right now. I don't know if you've been listening to my reels or not, but that's the message I'm continuing to hear constantly is these lessons are caught, they're not taught. And just trying to be aware of what do I look like right now? Am I smiling? Am I happy? Do I have my phone in my hand? where am I going? Am I just laying on the couch? Am I fixing something? Am I working in the yard? Am I at the office? So let that just be a comfort and reminder for you guys that we're being watched as dads. Which leads me to The Intentional Father. This is a great book. Been going through it the last few episodes on Fridays. The takeaway that I want to share with you guys, it is chapter 8. It's called The 5 Shifts. And there was someone that he referenced that had the 5 laws. And these are just truths that from transitioning your kid from boy to man. And the laws were: life is hard. You're not important. 3, your life is not about you. 4, you're not in control. And 5, you're going to die. So basically, these were the sort of the facts of life that transition you to manhood, is learning these things. The author, Jon Tyson, says, I don't know if I think we can soften these a little bit. And he calls it the 5 shifts. So these are the things that he is encouraging, that transition from being a boy to being a man. And he even references the Bible verse saying, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I thought as a child, and I acted like a child. But now that I'm a man, I act like a man. And like the difference that happens there for everybody. He says the sad truth is not everyone makes this shift. They're maybe still in a man's outside body, but they're still thinking like a child. So how can we purposely and intentionally bring our sons into manhood through these 5 shifts? So instead of saying life is hard, the shift is life goes from being easy to difficult. When you're younger, there's more ease, but as you get older, it becomes difficult. The second one is, instead of saying you're not important, boys care more about themselves, but as you become a man, men care about others. The third one is, your life is not about you. That shifts to, you're a part of a story. You're not the whole story. You're a part of a story. And the fourth one is, you're not in control. The shift goes from control to surrender. And then the fifth one is, you're going to die. It goes a shift from the temporal to the eternal. And he goes over basically how each one of these, he spends weeks going over that specific shift. And I would encourage you guys to study those, because I've been thinking, what are some ways I can start getting Moses, my son, ready for this shift? And these 5 shifts are ways that you can help start getting your son thinking about this shift. So whatever age your kids are at, maybe they're already well beyond the teenage years, but I think that's really a really cool framework of which principle do I want to hash out today. And the one that we've been working on for a little bit is doing hard things. So life is hard. And where I'm cutting his waffle, or as soon as he starts getting tired, I say stop. Or if we're playing soccer, and whatever it is, where as soon as he gets a little bit of tired, things get a little bit hard, he quits. A man is able to understand, hey, things aren't easy. Like life becomes more difficult. So that is our takeaway from The Intentional Father by Jon Tyson. For those that are trying to get into this, it is on Hoopla for free. Hoopla is an app that, as long as you have a library card, you can just download all these ebooks and audiobooks and other things. So find it on Hoopla and join us in The Intentional Father by Jon Tyson. I'm on chapter 8, and I'm reading about, 2 or 3 chapters every week. All right, upcoming podcasts, updates. We're going to have 3 guest episodes for next week. 2 of those episodes are going to be with members of the Oak IQ team. Aaron Leatherdale, who's the founder, I have him on the show. And Wayne Johnson, he was a passive investor who invested into Oak IQ's deals. And after he understood the team a little bit more, got to know how things worked, he joined the team and is investing, bringing other investors with him into the deals as well. So Wayne and I are working sort of side by side, and it's been really neat to work with Wayne in what his walk of life is. He's someone that he's a multimillionaire. He does health products in like the sales world, direct sales, and been grinding away at that for a while. And as he's looking to diversify his portfolio and investments, real estate has been something that he's done on his own, sort of actively on sort of a smaller scale, and like single family homes, maybe smaller multifamily deals. But as he's learned about syndication and doing group investing, it's changed his mindset of what this could do for him passively, and has brought a lot of other investors with him into these kind of deals. So I wanted to give you guys some more insights into that team, because this is a team that I'm on that I really feel like makes a kind of eye-opening, aha, wow, okay, this is how real estate works for a lot of people. And if your head is in the sand saying, when I think of real estate, I don't know if I want to be a landlord, and I got to find these deals, and I got some extra money, but it just seems like a lot of headache. There's ways to basically diversify your portfolio, get a ton of cool tax benefits without doing the heavy lifting of buying a single family home and holding on to it for 20 years. Stay tuned for those episodes, and I'm sure you'll really enjoy those. I gave you guys a riddle last week, and the riddle was, if you have 5 machines that make 5 donuts in 5 minutes, how long would it take 100 machines to make 100 donuts? For those that were still waiting for the answer on that, the answer is 5 minutes. So it doesn't really matter how many machines are there. It takes 5 minutes to make that same number. So if there's 2 machines to make 2 donuts, it would take 5 minutes. 200 machines to make 200 donuts take 5 minutes. So that is the answer for that riddle. Today's new riddle, the more of me, the less you see. What am I? This is my starter riddle. And for those that are just joining the riddle game here, I used to work landscaping, and we would do mulching all the time. And I was pretty much known as the riddle master, self-proclaimed, but would love to find ways to pass the time by doing some word games and get to know people. And some people really loved it, and I connected well with those that loved it. And some people thought it was weird. And I still connected with those guys. They just didn't connect with me on that riddle front. All right. Important announcement. We have a webinar going on next week. It's going to be on a Thursday. It's the 7th. Yep. 1 o'clock Eastern Standard. I'll be putting out some information on this on my social media, but having a webinar with Oak IQ on the unique time we're in regards to investing in multifamily deals in the Midwest. So we're going to give a very specific viewpoint on why we're in a unique, very special time to do multifamily investing in the Midwest, Kansas City market. So for anyone that's felt on the outskirts of the stuff I've been talking about, this will be live, but it'll also be recorded. So I would love to have some of my audience members join me on this call. I think it'll be for about an hour from 1 to 2. And pretty much the whole Oak IQ, well, Caleb and Aaron will be there. So I'd love to see you there. Thank you guys. That's all I have for today. And I'll leave you guys with another dad quote. Every father should remember that one day your son will follow your example, not your advice. Don't know who said that, but as I looked up dad quotes, that one stood out to me as a reminder that our sons are watching us, our kids are watching us, and one day they will follow our example, what we did. But we'll be telling a lot of things, and they won't always necessarily follow our advice. So let your walk only reinforce your talk.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Invested Fathers Podcast. If you liked this episode, we would love for you to click subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. We appreciate all of your hard work as a father and look forward to our next episode together.